We're estimating about 40,000 people here at the Capitol grounds. Now, they've blocked off a lot of the areas, so you can't see a full description of everyone that's here, but the street down the road there in the distance, that entire street is packed out for about 4 blocks. And then right here, if you look down the street, which you can't really see because I'm on a very dangerous ledge here, this entire street is blocked all the way back about 3 blocks. And then the crowds go and extend all the way down this road for about 4 blocks. And then up there at the Capitol grounds, up in the distance, you have the speakers that are talking. So anyway, again, it's semi-anticlimactic because you don't have, there hasn't been any major incidences so far. Antifa has only very small skirmishes, very, very limited things. Tremendous police presence, lots of fencing, helicopters everywhere. There's about 4 helicopters, multiple drones that are flying around. Anyway, it's been very peaceful. People from around the country, met people from Alaska, California. Obviously, I'm from Washington State. People from Florida, Texas, etc. So one thing to keep in mind is the media reports about major Antifa clashes just not accurate. They're very limited in their scope, and so far things have been very peaceful. Anyway, so this reminds me of the Tea Party events back in 2009. You had tens of thousands of people show up. And sorry, I'm shaking a little bit because it's pretty cold here, but I apologize for the shaking. Anyway, folks are meeting each other, talking. This has kind of a similar feel to the Tea Party rallies of 2009, but one thing that seems interesting is that people are pretty resolute regarding the Second Amendment. I interviewed a sheriff from Grayson County, and I asked him about the state of emergency. He said, you know, it doesn't seem to matter right now because the people are very peaceful. They're very resolute about their Second Amendment. Anyway, so things are going well. Pay attention to the media narrative regarding this being a white nationalist or gun extremist. They took pictures of some folks carrying 50 caliber weapons, follow those people around. They did look a little bit over the top, but irregardless, just keep in mind, it's been very peaceful so far. No one's been hurt. People are, as you can tell, roaming through the crowds very peacefully. Haven't seen any sort of skirmishes between Antifa. Thankfully the FBI was able to prevent those white supremacists from inserting themselves into this event. And as we can tell, the crowds are still coming in from various parts around the country. We have folks from as far away as Alaska, Hawaii. We have just down here, we have the Vietnamese group, Vietnamese for Trump. They have the speakers talking right now up at the Capitol grounds. There's a heavy police presence, helicopters in the sky, drones, and so far there haven't been any major skirmishes or injuries. Very peaceful. People have been gathering, talking, and sorry if I turn it horizontal. Someone just asked me to turn it horizontal. Hold on. There we go. Oh. Well, sorry, John. They won't let me film a horizontal with you going live, so I apologize. So here we are, downtown Richmond, Virginia, right in front of the Capitol building. There are tens of thousands of people in the streets. Like I said, there's helicopters all over the place. They have it fenced off, and we have folks that, if you notice some of the signs, we will not comply, pro-choice, not a victim, Vietnamese for Trump just down the way here. So far, folks from around the country have shown up as far away as Texas, Alaska, Hawaii, media from all over the world. I saw folks from Argentina, Brazil, Germany, etc. So, as you can tell, there's the folks are highly filling up the streets here. This goes for blocks. The fencing that the police, you can notice down the road, they fenced off an area, but the roads down the street are highly filled up with folks from all over the place. And as they've been pointing out, this is a very peaceful rally. So far, there's been very limited number of skirmishes between Antifa and the protesters. Police have been very quick to stop things. And again, so far, things have been very peaceful. You have people from all over the world here, actually. There are people from as far away as Brazil, Germany. I saw somebody from Poland. We have folks that have come in from Alaska and California. I'll just let you guys kind of see what's going on here. And so the roads are packed out for blocks. There are tens of thousands of folks that are here. The speakers are talking right now at the Capitol grounds. You can see the fencing that they put up. The fencing was because Governor North declared a state of emergency regarding some threats that he said that they had received. So they put up all this fencing. You'll notice that there's helicopters flying all over the place. So far, things have been very peaceful. There are just tons of people down these roads. And I apologize for shaking. It's pretty cold out here. I've been out here since 6 a.m. And it's just very difficult to get around because there's just so many people from all over the place. I interviewed some... USA! 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 So last night we got to interview a delegate from Virginia, Nick Freitas. He's speaking right now. Nick Freitas is the delegate who gave a pretty impassioned speech a year and a half ago on the floor of the delegate side of the Virginia legislature. He's running for 7th District Congress, and he stated that, you know, this notion of racial supremacy, that wanting to protect your Second Amendment rights somehow is tied to racial or racial supremacy or white supremacy is unfounded. Yeah, it's very interesting. It seems as though the media and the Democrat Party, along with the Republican establishment, were anticipating that now that they had taken over control of the Virginia legislature, they would be able to drive some of this more stricter gun control laws, but this is not having the effect that they expected. As you can see, that the crowds are going for at least 4 blocks to the north here. And they have it blocked off to the side the police do, but on the street in the distance, you'll notice that those streets are just as crowded, very difficult to navigate because of the amount of people here, and that the crowds, this extends all the way down to the roads behind me for several different blocks. Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Donald Trump! USA! 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 Let's go! So it's balmy here today. There's a wind chill factor, so fingers and toes are froze. But people, the weather doesn't seem to be a deterrent to these folks. They can seem to really be impassioned about this issue regarding the Second Amendment. So you have folks from around the world. There were journalists from Brazil, Argentina, Germany, and Poland. We have folks supporting the Second Amendment rally here from Alaska, California, Florida, etc. As you can see, the crowds extend for about 4.5 blocks to our north. They've fenced off the access to the Capitol grounds as Governor Northam declared a state of emergency. The FBI had arrested several alleged white supremacists 3 days ago as a result of some intelligence they had gathered that they were planning to cause an armed confrontation. But you can see that they have it well fenced off, and in the distance, the street next to, on the other side of the blockade there, is packed out with quite a number of folks. And then down the road here, you can see that actually the crowd's thinning out just a little bit. They must be moving down the other road down the street. So what I'll do is I'll start moving, try to move my way. I will make my way down the road here in just a minute. So, sir, where are you from?
Originally from here. I live in Northern Virginia.
Okay, so what brought you here?
I live the blue now, taking over our county.
Yeah,
Nobody's from there. Nobody from Virginia lives there.
Really?
Yeah.
So what brought you here?
Yeah, I just want to support this, you know. I mean, if nobody shows up, we don't have a voice, right? We got to make our voice known. I mean, they kicked over the wrong anthill.
What anthill did they kick over?
I mean, they're trying to take our rights. I mean, these are God-given rights, that we're supposed to be protected with. The government gave us protections, enshrine those rights. But they can't take them. These are God-given rights to protect ourselves. So we're not going to comply. Plain truth is people aren't going to comply.
What's so significant about this Second Amendment that it causes this much passion, this much turnout on such a cold day?
Yeah, there is a lot of that. I think it's the one right we have that protects all the other ones.
So the Second Amendment protects all the other rights?
The founders knew that government was inherently corrupt and evil and parasitic, and they wanted us to have our rights to defend against government.
What do you think about Governor Northam declaring a state of emergency today? And so far, there's been a very limited number of incidences. Antifa hasn't had a significant impact.
This is I don't really come to like political rallies and stuff like that, but I'll tell you what, man, everybody's like super nice. I mean, there hasn't been a single incident. I haven't even seen an argument. I haven't even seen name calling, nothing. Everybody's like really nice, and I mean, 90% of the people are armed. You got pistols, long guns, you got everything, and everybody's being responsible with them. I mean, everybody's keeping their guns in their holsters.
Yesterday, a journalist, Ben Collins, said that referred to this rally as a white nationalist rally.
Yeah.
How would you respond to that?
I think that's just absolutely ridiculous. But, when you can't win with the facts, you go to the whole racism thing, and that's what the left does. I'm sure the media was probably pushing that too. In fact, I saw the local news last night, and they were kind of pushing that a little bit.
The racist white nationalists?
It's ridiculous. There's people from all races here. There's been no animosity towards anybody. I even saw some people that were pro-gun walking around. Nobody was even bugging them, It's just kind of, but it's definitely not a white I mean, that's insane that it's white nationalist. I mean, yeah, they're bad apples that might show up, sure. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a white nationalist here. But there's bad apples in every group, They're going to show up. But they're not part of this movement.
So what happens next? After this event, now what?
No, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on how the legislation goes. I mean, I've talked to people that aren't going to comply with any of this stuff, But we'll see. I mean, people are going to have to comply. Some people are going to have to. I mean, they're going to put their families before their jobs.
Thank you.
But, I mean, we'll see, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think anybody wants it to get nasty. I think everybody wants it to stay peaceful,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, it seems like the event is starting to, folks are kind of making their way, crowds are kind of lightening up. It's probably because the event itself, the speakers are about to wrap up here in the next 10 minutes or so. As you heard, that there are folks from across the country, there's media from around the world. We just heard from someone from Virginia stating they're just not wanting to comply. They're not really political, but this is the one right that protects the other rights, and that's kind of the reason why they're here. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens after this event. Like what's next? What do they do with this passion regarding these matters? And also be interesting to see is how the Democrat Party, along with the Republican establishment, as well as the media, what their narrative is going to look like going into tomorrow. Will the Democrats double down on their gun legislation initiatives? Will the media double down on painting this as an extreme racist, white supremacist, nationalist movement? And how will the establishment Republicans deal with the upcoming elections, especially regarding, if you're following Colorado and the gun flag laws there, the state of Washington just passed some fairly significant gun control laws in the last week. The impeachment proceedings of President Trump. As you guys know, for those of you in Washington State, the impeachment proceedings of Washington State Representative Matt Shea. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in the next 48 hours and how this plays out.
Hey, thanks, man. Good to see you out here.
Well, the crowds looked like they were thinning out, but actually doesn't seem to be the case right now. So,
interestingly enough, this is where this all started. Besides Massachusetts, 1775, 1776, all that. The church is a couple miles up the street where Patrick Henry gave an impassioned speech, "Give me liberty, give me death." And they marched down to Williamsburg. You know why they did that, right? They were going to take the gunpowder. They came to Williamsburg and they wanted to take the gunpowder, and the Virginians said, "It ain't happening on my watch," and they marched over there. This is the birthplace of all that.
So, that's a really interesting point, is that the revolution, essentially, the American Revolution essentially started over the British coming to taking the guns.
I mean,
yeah. Is this
Concord? They went to take the guns. So, shot heard around the world, and then here in Virginia, the capital was Williamsburg at the time, and they wanted to take the gunpowder, so Virginians marched there.
So, do you think this is a repeat of history?
No, I don't think it's that point yet. I don't think it's even close to that. I hope it doesn't get to that. I mean, I don't think anyone can get to that, right? We're all Americans. We want to fight against each other.
Yeah, we already went through that one time.
Yeah.
And that happened here, too.
It's nasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the capital of the Confederacy,
The Confederacy, the White House, what's it called? The White House of the Confederacy. Isn't that just a few blocks from here?
Yeah, it is. I was actually there the other day. Just did a tour. The first time I'd ever gone. I lived here for so many years and never gone to it. But I have a couple blocks from here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because history seems to be repeating itself in terms of the narrative, the laws that are being passed. I mean, King George in Parliament passed some pretty significant restrictive laws, and people started getting upset with that. And then,
the problem with this, politicians get in office and they think they're above us. They think they own us. They think we're the peasant class, And in many cases we are, right? There's different laws for them than us. The politicians don't get held to the same standards as the people. But at the end of the day, man, this is our government. We don't bow down to politicians. We don't swear oaths to politicians. This is the people. This belongs to the people, And I have to say, though, Democrats won the election. I mean, the voters, these voters, I wonder how many of them didn't show up to vote. I'm sure there's people in this crowd that didn't show up.
Well, I heard...
We had a 30% turnout or something.
I heard last night that a lot of the gun owners that were showing up here today weren't even registered to vote.
Oh, I'm sure people just don't care. They want everybody else to do their dirty work,
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll see what happens in this election. It's going to be 2020 is going to be epic.
Yeah.
You have Trump's impeachment next week. You've got.
We don't vote for new people out here in Virginia until 2021, though. We're stuck with them for a couple of years.
Oh, is that right?
They just took office.
Wow.
We do off-year election.
Well,
but there was a lot of people on election day that didn't even know there was an election. People are so tuned out. Stuff like that. I get it, man. Politics can get kind of nasty sometimes. It's a turn on,
Right.
And there's a lot of people that just tuned out,
Well, we'll see what happens in this upcoming election, and whether it increases the registration to vote and participation. That's really kind of the key. People get involved in these things. They're impassioned for the day. But ultimately, everybody, it all comes down to what are you going to do tomorrow after the event dies down. And the politicians understand our human nature very well. They know, they understand that you're naturally going to go back home after. That's too funny. They know that after the event, the passion declines. And so what you guys do after the event is what's really important. I would encourage you to learn the system, build relations, and most importantly, learn how to keep your republic, prevent these things from happening in the future. All right, guys. Well, it looks like their event is wrapping up. We'll be in touch with you, and we'll have one more report after the fact. And got some great interviews for our documentary series, Govern Be Governing, Part 3, The Final Verdict. Interviewed a sheriff just a few minutes ago from Grayson County. I really encourage you guys to go to Center for Self-Governance /PWOL, the political weaponization of labels using racism, extremism, domestic terrorism as an excuse to create domestic terrorism code here in the next couple of years. So go to our website, centerforselfgovernance.com /PWOL to get some more information. Sign our White House petition on getting President Trump to look into the political weaponization of labels. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to sign out here. Their event is starting to wrap up. Again, just wanted to let you know that there were no major incidents. Very peaceful. They blockaded. You had helicopters and drones everywhere. But it turns out that everybody's voice was heard. They were able to. People were able to gather and meet. And we'll see how it turns out tomorrow. So stay tuned. Make sure you watch Half-Baked News on our YouTube channel. And again, check out our website, centerforselfgovernance.com /PWOL. Have people sign the White House petition to ask President Trump to look into the political weaponization of labels.
Not the other guy. Yeah, that like
yeah, definitely. You've got quite a crowd here that would triple double some of the rural cities around the country. Well, thanks to everybody for joining in. Look into how the media portrays this. They've already tried to label this a white nationalist rally. They've tried to connect it to extremism. The Moms Demand Action referred to this as a gun extremist movement. But so far there's been no major incidences. Very peaceful rally. People who are even armed. I would say armed to the hilt. I saw one guy who had a .50 caliber walking around. Not sure how long he lasted carrying that. Okay, guys, on behalf of Center for Self-Governance, this was Half-Baked News. Mark Hurt here. Check out our website, centerforselfgovernance.com, for more details. We'll give one last report here in the next hour or so. Thanks for tuning in.